Well, see, our backyard is probably about the size of your greenhouse.
We are here with Sidney, and Sidney's channel is called
The Nakid Gardeners.
and him and his wife. Oh!
Wait, I thought you were like, y'all do something.
Tory.
My wife's Tory, okay.
That's not getting cut out. And they live where?
In Dallas, Texas area.
Dallas, Texas. And so,
Zone 8A.
yeah, and we are in Zone 7B here. Sidney's a friend of ours. We met through Big Bear Homestead. And Sidney and Tory are excellent gardeners.
Oh, thank you.
And they've basically been able to turn, you know, a normal backyard into something that produces a lot of food. And so,
Yeah.
what are you guys' ultimate goal?
Our ultimate goal is to try to grow at least about 80% of our food. Where at first we were just all vegetables, plants, and stuff like that. Now, this year, after going through the Homesteading Life Conference, talking with Jason from Big Bear Homestead and Robyn, we're kind of venturing more into livestock now. Definitely want to do goats. That's why I want to talk with y'all. I love curry goats, and y'all, I know y'all do dairy goats. So, but we do want to start making our own soaps and other products. I know that you do that as well. Chickens, we want to do between meat chickens, bird chicken, or egg chickens. Birds already chickens. So, but egg chickens, maybe turkeys, ducks, goose, geese, wherever you want to call them. Mrs. Nakid Garden wants to do possibly pigs now, so we'll see how that goes. Who knows? But we're trying to get out of the urban homestead and trying to get out more to the more rural homestead, I guess you could say. We got a video out on which containers is the best to grow in. Got a video out on which container soils is good to grow in. We're doing a lot of experiments, so that way when we get into a homestead like y'all and everybody else, we're basically already learned from most of our mistakes.
We'll put a link down in the down below in the description to the Nakid Gardeners channel, and if for some reason you haven't heard of these big famous people,
Whatever.
friends, so hopefully you can go over there and check them out if gardening is something that you're interested in, and they can show you how even if you're in an urban setting, you can still turn that into, you know, a real food producer.
No, it's naked, not naked, right?
Yeah, it's naked, and it's we had to we started off NAKED, and then we started getting a lot of flags from YouTube, so we had to change it to NAKID. So we didn't.
Telling me YouTube flag stuff? I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Well, with our raised beds, we have about a 2-foot tall raised bed, so we don't really have to worry about weeds so much. Besides out in the walkways, and we try to get use free mulch to where we put about 2 to 4 inches of mulch on there, so that way it won't. Some of the grass won't come up. So, I mean, some of it still does.
What do you like better, growing in the ground or raised beds?
We have never grown in the ground. The only thing that we mostly do is the raised beds and containers. Once we get our own property, we want to try it out with in-ground. The only reason why we don't do it now, because Texas has so much red clay, well, not red clay, but hard clay.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to grow it in. Once we get into rainy season, it really messes up the yard if we just grow anything in it. That's why we started out with raised beds and containers.
You have success with containers? Because I don't know that we've ever had any real success with containers. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the only thing we did not have success with containers was the artichokes, but after going to visiting Jess from Roots and Refuge, she was telling us she had grown her artichokes into containers. It didn't do too well, but once she put it in the raised bed, it started to flourish, and ours is starting to do the same thing. We transferred ours into the raised bed, now it's starting to grow up big.
Artichokes. That's what we need to do. We were running out of ideas for vegetables, and we didn't even try and do any artichokes.
But all you got to do is put a frost cover on that, and you won't have to.
You guys use those on your raised beds? You use covers like low tunnels or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do. We have a little hoop, and if we see the one day out of the year that it'll get below 32, we'll put a frost cover over it.
Earlier you said that you guys are doing really well. You've been doing really well with fall gardens, because that's one thing we've struggled with here. What are you growing in your fall garden?
What are we not growing? We're growing just about almost every brassica you could think of. A lot of lettuces, a lot of beets right now. Swiss chard, carrots, radishes. I'm trying to convince the Mrs. Nakid Gardener to eat some beets. So if y'all know any tips on recipes.
Do you know a way that they cannot taste like dirt?
That's what I'm trying to get to her about. I don't mind it. The one year that we were doing the whole vegan juicing thing, it was just real gritty when we was trying to juice it, but I found out if you strain it to get all that grittiness out of it, it's actually kind of sweet.
Do you like them pickled? Because we won't eat them like that.
I don't. My daughter does, and I'm just like, when I look at it pickled, it look like blood. I'm just like, ooh, you disgust me.
Do you guys do head lettuces or leaf lettuces or what?
We do head lettuces, leaf lettuces, density. Just basically, we'll just put some lettuce seeds in a container and just put them all in there and just cut and come along. Just chop off about every so often, and it'll grow right back up. We do that about 3 to 4 times, and then just turn it all up, put it in the compost, and do it some more. Just do rotation crop. A lot of kale. Collards is my main thing, my favorite thing to grow in the fall, and garlic. For collards, since the leaf is very hardy, you almost have to slow cook these on, well, depending on what texture you want. If you want them kind of crunchy, you don't have to cook them too long. But what I normally do is I'll cook some onions with some fat back, some pigtails, turkey butts, whatever smoked meat that you have in it, let that render down. Once that meat starts falling off the bone, just add, normally for Thanksgiving we'll do about 4 bunches of collards and just chop them up, just skin them out, and clean them up, and then just put some more onions in there, some whatever type of seasoning you want. Definitely a lot of garlic. We're big garlic fans. Some diced peppers, some diced onions, and then once it gets towards the end of the cooking process, just add a capful of vinegar to give that little tang to it, and some red pepper flakes.
What kind of garlic do you grow?
Right now, it's hard to get garlic, but I was able to find some from my garden. We got some chestnut garlic. It's a hardneck garlic, which is more. Hardnecks is more for the northern part, but I like the scapes of the hardnecks.
This was our first year with scapes.
Oh my God!
From a clove.
Yeah, just put it in the refrigerator for about 2 to 8 weeks. That's going to make the kind of mimic the frost area, and then plant it into the ground. For the southern area, you don't have to plant about 2 to 4 inches. For the northern area, you want to plant it deeper, so that way once the frost comes, it doesn't kill it all off. Soft, you don't have to do it, but for hardneck, you definitely want to do it.
When you guys plant garlic in Texas, are you overwintering? Are you planting it during fall and going through the?
Yeah, we just planted some about last week or the week before, and we're growing in a container since we're planning on moving, and we mulched it heavily. And you want to do that before the frost comes, to allow the roots to get established, because if you do it later on and the roots aren't established and that frost comes, it's just going to kill off your garlic. Okay. And then by about June, 4th of July, we normally try to harvest around 4th of July, we'll pull up all the garlic.
How do you grow your tomatoes?
We have a cattle panel, we call it the tomato alley, and it's hard for us to grow tomatoes because it gets so hot that the tomatoes just die off. If we do anything more than if we don't do a grape or a cherry tomatoes, they'll just die. I wouldn't say die off, the flower just drops. But we have a tomato alley, was basically a cattle panel, was 16 foot long. We just grow random tomatoes. I think this year we tried to grow pineapple tomatoes. We found out that the yellow and the orange tomatoes are not as acidic. It's a little bit more sweeter. And we even tried, when Jess gave us her big 2-pounder tomato, how sweet that was. Oh my goodness, we had so many tomato sandwiches with that.
What is your favorite full-size tomato, and then what's your favorite grape or cherry tomato?
I would say the Mrs. Nakid Gardener, she likes this. She snuck a yellow pear tomato in the tomato.
Yeah, we tried those.
She likes it because it's real sweet and it's small, and they were just, like I said, because they're so small, they just was popping off like crazy, and that's our little gardening snack area. Like the pineapple tomatoes. I want to try to grow some green tomatoes, so I can do some green fried tomatoes. Those are our 2 biggest ones that we've done on the trellis, I believe, that did vertically.
Do you like grape tomatoes? Do you guys like those much, or? Because we eat them like candy here.
It's hard to get. It's hard for them to get into the house.
That is the same thing we run into. We barely ever harvest a basket of like cherry or grape tomatoes, because like with the sweet 100s and the sun golds.
Oh yeah, the sweet 100, yeah.
Yeah, like when we loved the sweet 100s, and then we tried the sun golds. I think it was Cog Hill that really we're talking about those. But man, you come out here and it's like it makes other tomatoes taste like they're not sweet at all.
Yeah,
like they're so sweet.
We do all of our starts indoors, so that way we can control what's going out there, you know, instead of playing them direct growing into the ground and not knowing when, you know, trying to say, oh, is it growing or not, like that. We just basically start it, take the healthiest plants and transplant them. Last year we transplanted a little bit too early, and we had some rats or raccoons or some type of rodent eating all our brassicas, and we were so heartbroken. That was the first year we didn't have any type of cold crops whatsoever. No collards, no nothing. I was so devastated.
No kidding. When would you start planning for your summer garden, and when would you start, like, when would your seeds be coming out of the packets? And
for our zone 8A, we start our tomatoes, peppers, okras. We start those about January, February time frame.
No kidding.
And we have a heat mat, since those plants like a lot of warmth. And we have a thermostat on our heat mat, so that way we can control how hot, so it doesn't get too hot for our nightshade plants and stuff like that. And then once about after Easter, that's when we transplant everything. We try to do that with green beans. Sometimes they take and they don't take. And then you got that little missing void stuff. So I hate having missing void. So I always like to have,
Yeah.
like I said, I like control. So I know, okay, when it's time to transplant, I have whatever I need in that particular square.
So what area are you looking at to move? What's the area you're going to stay in Dallas? What's the plan?
We want to kind of go more central Texas to be closer to my dad, since he's a widower. Probably somewhere around there, maybe the Houston area.
Okay. Well, if you guys are anywhere near that area, make sure you go over to their channel, check it out, subscribe over there, and like their videos and watch them, and then give them some suggestions of where you think like the best gardening and all that good stuff is, and animal husbandry, I don't know what you would call it, animal raising is in Texas and stuff. And so it's always, for guys, it's always a competition for us, and so my area is the best. We like Georgia because Georgia's got a long growing season, and it's not too hard on any of the animals. But as homesteaders, I think Lauren would agree that I feel like the animals sort of come more naturally to us. Like, it's pretty easy to figure out goats and pigs and stuff like that. Like, you know when they're not feeling good, and you know that stuff. But gardening, I feel, is like our it's like our holy grail that we want to get to, but we don't. We need smart people who are good at it and who have the green thumb, as they call it, to basically guide us along that path, because I can tell you right now, we mess it up a lot, and so we appreciate you coming out.
Oh, no problem. I enjoy just seeing everything, is letting us know what we can and can't do and how to do it and stuff like that. And I've loved learning from other homesteaders about how they do their animals and stuff, because like you were saying, you do a lot of research. I do a lot of research before I do something, and then once I find something that like, I like to try to myth bust it, see why. If they don't explain why it needs to be done, I like to try to find out why it needs to be done that way and try to prove it wrong or whatnot. 2020,
we're hopefully rolling out of this terrible year and going into 2021. And you work, me and Lauren work, we're working folks, and we're doing this homesteading thing. Somebody's watching this video, they live in an apartment, they have some money to buy a house. Why is homesteading something that you think someone would even want to take up?
We was talking with Doug and Stacy at the Homesteading Life Conference, and he was basically saying, he was talking about the reason why they did it and whatnot, and it didn't until then click to me. It's like, yes, we want to take back that power from the government and want to be able to control what goes into our body, and just be the whole wellness and everything. It's not just because right now everybody is so automatic and it's right now, right here, and stuff like that. We want to be able to work for it and get back to the original ways how we were supposed to be raised, instead of going fast food and instant this, instant that. And we just want to know what's in our body if we put it in there. We grew it or we raised it, whatnot.
I agree. I think we feel the same way. Well, we appreciate you coming by, and we gotta look at we're gonna talk some goats and gardening and stuff, have some dinner, and But thank you guys for watching. Please like this video if you're not a part of our Cattywampus crew yet. Think about hitting that subscribe button down below and the bell notification so you can keep up with everything we're doing here on the farm. And I'm going to leave the link down for Nakid Gardeners down in the description below. Make sure you go check out Sidney and Tory's channel. They are gardening pros, and they're gonna show you all kinds of stuff that you can do with veggies. So for now, we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks.